There we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this Tuesday session of the Postgraduate Academy's support group meeting. I'm Leni Liebenberg, and I am joined today by our Student Support Services team and our special guest, Karuna Mahadev. And we are starting this block of a focus on career development within our sessions. And Karuna will be kicking it off today with a discussion titled Beyond Your Postgrad, Where to From Here. I don't want to keep us too long away from the main event. I just want to start off with some house rules. What are they? This is an interactive session. We really enjoy interacting with our participants and with the presenters. So please, by all means, use your reaction icons. Put your hand up if you'd like to say anything, share your thoughts in a very constructive manner. We are here to support each other within this Postgraduate Academy support group. And I think that's it. Let's interact. And I'm moving on to Sue from our Student Support Services team, who will introduce herself and Karuna and the content. Thanks so much, Sue.
It's an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much, Prof. Lenine. So my name is Suzanne Stokes. I'm an educational psychologist, and I'm a student counselor based at the College of Health Sciences. And it is my pleasure to introduce to you the guest of the day, Ms. Karuna Mahadev. And she is currently busy with her internship as an industrial psychologist. She has been quite busy in over the last 15 years assisting students in their transition to the world of work, and this had been through a range of workshops, skills development, and work readiness programs. And she is quite energized, passionate individual who really wants to see us flourish in the workplace. And just with that very brief introduction, I'm going to hand over to Karuna. And there we go. Over to you, Karuna.
Colleagues, thank you so much, Sue. And Lenine, thank you for that lovely introduction. And colleagues, it's so nice to see that the class is filling up gradually. And it is an interactive session. So we welcome absolutely everything that you have to say. This is about you. Today's session does deal with, if you'll allow me a screen share. So what we are dealing with today is your transition into the work world, but it doesn't only speak to, please excuse me, these are never things we anticipate for, eh?
No.
Okay, so I am trying to share my screen from the beginning. Right, so here we are, today's session deals with, thank you, career pathing and progression, what comes beyond your qualification. Now, colleagues, if I may ask of you, there are 19 of us minus 3 in this class, so that's quite a few. If I could have your input on where you're at right now, what is your discipline, what is your degree, and what are you doing right now? You can unmute yourself.
And you're welcome to put it in the chat as well if you know location where you're not able to use your mic.
Hi all.
Hi.
I'm Nombulelo. I've just started with my PhD in discipline of physiology.
Right. Lovely. Nombulelo, what was your undergraduate in?
I did medical science in anatomy.
And honors?
I did physiology in honors and physiology in masters and physiology in PhD.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant. Okay, lovely. Thank you for that. Colleagues? Anyone else? Nombulelo has shared hers.
Elliot has his hand raised.
Yes,
Elliot, hi. Thank you.
yes. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon, Elliot.
I'm Mr. Elliot Makatini. I'm doing my PhD in surgery.
Mm,
I did my master's I've got a master's degree in master's in nursing.
right,
It was a research master's.
right.
And I was looking at the role of traditional health practitioners in prevention of
Lovely.
health, in prevention of illnesses.
Okay,
And
great.
I did my honors in psychology,
Uh-huh.
and I majored in psychology and Zulu in my undergrad.
Now, Elliot, thank you. I was just about to ask if your undergrad was a B.Ed, a B nursing degree, which it was.
It was a straightforward BA degree. And then I did the psychology honors.
Right.
And then I did nursing, research master's in nursing. And then now I'm doing my PhD in surgery.
Wow. Okay. Okay. That's quite different from each other, eh?
Yes.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It's touching all over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see. Yeah. Lovely.
Trying
Lovely,
to be
Elliot.
holistic as well.
Why not? Why not? Well done. Well done. Well done.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, we've heard from two of our colleagues, and I think that there's actually space for a further conversation on this. But I do want to actually tell you what the objectives of the session are, which is to reflect on possible career paths within the qualification that you have currently, to consider alternative professions, and to look at the key aspects of career mapping. And you'll find that along the way, career mapping becomes synonymous with career pathing, career progression, and a whole lot of other fancy terms. But essentially what it means is that are you able to actually create some kind of trajectory for your life ahead? And in order to do that, you'd have to take a step back as well. So we look at all of these factors in moving you forward today. Now, to follow on from my first question to you is, if you take a minute to reflect on where you see yourself in 5 years, and if I just move this from your line of vision, yes, where you see yourself in 5 years, where are you now? What is most urgent for you now, right now, and why? What are your career plans post your studies? How long do you think or feel or envisage that your desired job or career will land on your plate? How long do you think that's going to take? Is it going to take a year? Is it going to take 5 years? Do you not see it happening at all? And I wish to ask you today is, how many ways are there in which you can use the existing degree you have, or even the undergraduate degree that you have? How many different applications or uses can you find for it? Is anybody open to thinking or discussing that? Have you found a different outlet for your degree?
I see Elliot has his hand up. Go ahead, Elliot.
Yes. Well, I think the way I would like to use my degree is to use it in terms of influencing policy in the health field. My area of expertise is that of integration between traditional medicine and Western medicine. So I am confident that after completing my degree, I will be in a good position to influence policy and curriculum as well.
Lovely. Thank you for saying that, Elliot. How long do you think it's going to take you to achieve that?
Right now, I've got some financial challenges, but in terms of registration, but I've got another challenge that I do have money available, but which is not accessible. It's a research account that was opened for me in another university. Unfortunately, when my contract expired, I had to leave the university. But my account is still there, so I've been trying to access this money through UKZN, and I was told to communicate with the research office of that institution. So I've tried to communicate, and they said yes, the account is there, but the problem is that I'm no more part of that university. And then they asked me whether I'm an associate. I said, at present, no, but I would like to be an associate. And then I asked them to assist me to become an associate. Then they connected me to some of the senior authorities, and those authorities connected me to my previous department where I was working.
Yeah.
So they requested me to write an extensive CV, to submit an extensive CV and an application for being an associate. So I did that. I'm just waiting. I haven't received any response. And in 2022, they told me that there is another paper, that one of my paper that we published. So I will also have some rewards for that paper as well. So it's increasing, but the issue is that I haven't received any response, because the research office said once I become a partner, they would proceed to sort out my account, and they would proceed with the process of making the money available to me.
Okay.
So once I get registered, once I get that money and I get registered and pay my outstanding fees, then I will start my research, because my protocol is was approved, provisionally approved, and I've made the corrections. So for me is to get registered and then proceed Yeah.
Oh, good. I hope that happens quickly for you, Elliot. I see we have another hand. You can go before me.
Sure. Thank you, thank you, Prof.
Sebo, sorry, you can go ahead.
Sorry, guys. Hi, everyone. I thought maybe you were talking to someone else. Good afternoon, guys. So, on the topic of maybe using so I'm in medical sciences. I'm doing my master's in medical sciences, anatomy and physiology departments. So, before I started my master's, I was in sales, though, using my honors degree in anatomy, and I thought that was sort of like a creative way to not stick in health science and sort of venture off. So for those people that are in medical sciences and of course are interested in health sciences, they can sort of take their degrees and also look into sales as well. So that's a creative way. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Well, thank you. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you for mentioning that.
Smangile, you can go before me as well.
Thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So I'm also doing my master's in medical science, physiology department, and I'm actually like I'm actually doing how do you say this? I'm actually working as a project management assistant with the clinical research organization. So initially, I really thought that when I went into this company, I would be working, doing something related to my degree, not necessarily like inside the lab, because I actually want to explore, the work outside the lab, especially research or implementing some kind of, the principles part of my degree in neuroscience. But what I did find is that I'm doing none of that. And I actually do see that I'm not really challenged as I really wanted to. And I'm actually approaching, I'm completing my master's, and I'm actually interested in doing a PhD, but I'm also interested, very, very interested in exploring, my career paths, outside academia. So I am kind of like, stuck to and asking myself where to from now. And so I am like doing some research and exploring, different industries where I can actually implement some of, my research outside the lab, of course, but in industry. Yeah.
Wonderful. Nice to hear. Good for you. Good.
Could I add my little 2 cents here?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
It'll be quick. So I'm reflecting on this in this exercise on where I was as a PhD student and where I thought I'd see myself in 5 years' time. And I realized that what I'd told people where I saw myself was different to where I actually I really wanted to be. I think, and the family who's been supporting me for during my PhD were expecting certain things of me during my PhD, but that might not have reflected with what I really wanted to do. And it's only now, post-COVID, that I'm coming into my own, when you realize that you're not stuck within a particular bubble based on what course you've studied. Your course that you've studied also affords you more skills that you might not even be acknowledging at the moment, and that there are other opportunities for you. And eventually, your family and your friends they want your happiness and what's good for. Okay, I'm getting very personal here, so I'm just going to calm down and we can discuss it in the next couple of slides.
I love these sessions. Prof, what was the original goal?
So what I told people
Yes, pray tell.
Was that I was going to be a PI within my field of research, which was very varied at the moment, and that I would be a lecturer. And I'd ticked those boxes, but I still feel that what I really want to do, what I really want to give of myself over the next I'm still trying to find that. And now being open to the skill set that I'm finally acknowledging that I have grown, developed during this period. It's an exciting time to be able to do that. And it is a little different to what I initially thought for myself. So yes, we keep growing. And this reflective exercise applies to me, even as 12 years post-PhD. It's important to do this and reflect and see where you're going and plan for that as well. Thanks, Karuna.
Wonderful. I love it. I do love, I mean, it really is a process which must go on until the point of retirement. Yes, Suzanne. Suzanne, you want to say something?
Yes, so I've got a couple of anonymous posts.
Yeah,
so
sure.
many have spoken to, staying within academia and within research, and possibly transitioning from your standard masters into your PhD postdocs. And one creative one is advocacy and consultancy. And doing what I feel like doing. So I thought that was really cool. So thank you everybody for sharing.
Yes, thank you indeed. This has been wonderful to hear about your ideas, and they're great ideas. They really are. They actually do talk to a need in society. So well done, and thank you for your contribution. I want to actually speak a little bit about any ideas, Sue, on how I could get rid of this, or where do I drag it to? Can I move it here? Is that okay?
So
Does it really?
it's not showing on our side, so you're good to continue.
Oh, is it
move
not?
it where you
Okay.
need to.
Okay, good.
Your
Thank you.
settings are perfect, pleasure.
Thank you. So just a little bit about, and whenever we do these reflective exercises, and I know that in previous sessions, those who've been here, you may think Ikana is a real bore and I just don't want to listen to her. But I keep bringing your attention back to your skills and your attributes, because you notice that 5 years ago, your skill set was very different from 5 years later. Every day that you are exposed to a new environment, you're exposed to a new setting, even if it is a series of informal lunches, we're evolving as people. We're picking up new ways of behavior. We're picking up new attributes. So what the world over, and especially post-COVID, has defined as a set of skills, South Africa is now calling it our critical skills, where they're saying it's top-up skills. You have your degree, whatever that degree may be. It could be anything from sciences to commerce to whatever the discipline. And then your critical skills are the top-up skills, which are essential for your survival and longevity inside the organization, which then goes back to your personal attributes, from your emotional intelligence to your interpersonal communication skills and so on and so forth. So the question I ask you is, what personal attributes do you think you need in order to flourish inside an organization which is now full swing into the fourth IR, and it's gone technological? There's so many other things happening in society around us. What kind of attitude do you think you should have in order for you to flourish? Let's hear from you.
Empathy, people skills. I need an HR course for my daily life.
People skills, HR course. Oh, yes, of course. Indeed, that is definitely it. That is definitely one of them. Yeah.
I'm just thinking about, all the creative ways in which people have transitioned through their careers and studies. So I think, creativity and being brave.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't know if anybody in the audience has noticed among our participants, and I think it was Thebo who said it was a creative way of using her honors degree in sales, and applying the degree differently. But and again, it goes back to what you're saying, which is creativity in applying your qualification. So yes, so for sure, absolutely. Elliot, yes, sir.
Yes, I think what I need now is for me to sharpen my research skills, because I see myself traveling, attending conferences, presenting my area of expertise. So I think for me, research skills are very, very important to me, you know, to further develop and intensify and be, you know, to be, you know, just to boost my confidence and, yeah.
Sorry, Elliot, when you say research skills, are you talking about as in like qualitative, quantitative, the actual skills you need to conduct research, or are you referring to your searching skills on researching the organization that you want to work at, or the types of skills that you need, or what skills are you talking about?
I think it's both.
Both, okay.
It's both research skills, because I'm still going to continue doing research or working for a specific organization. So and the skills that maybe the organization might require. But yeah, I think to have capacity, in other words, of doing research. And you know, we've got these two approaches, the quanti and the quali. And one also need to assist other people, and I think one needs to be more confident and more knowledgeable and keep on reading, you know, new ideas, new published work in so many other things, you know, designs, etc. So that, I think that is very, very important to increase the knowledge and to further capacitate myself.
Wonderful. Thank you, Elliot. You're absolutely right. I see quite a bit of chatting in the chat.
So I've just reiterated the question of, well, what skills would we need in this new, our new workspaces as we transition into the 4IR? And I see we've got quite a couple of new joiners, so I thought it would be nice to say welcome them.
Okay, wonderful. I'm how do I say your name? Uwane has raised a hand.
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, I think the other attribute that will be very important is the good communication skill, to be a good communicator between the supervisor and the supervisor, the students, and also some other stakeholders that need to be involved, people like the librarians and whoever that should be involved in the research, which will also include participants. So to be a good communicator, it's very, very important.
Yes, absolutely. Sorry, brother, how do I say your name?
Unane.
Yes. Lovely. Thank you so much for that. Yes, that's absolutely important. Is there anybody else who wishes to contribute to that before I actually reveal what industry, what executives have said in their opinion is an attribute that has led into flourishing? Is there anybody else who wishes to contribute? So we've had
two hands up.
Yes.
Oh, my mic is already unmuted. I would like to add just one more.
Sure.
Maybe in terms of like being open-minded, because now you're moving from what you are used to, which it may be health sciences, IT, and maybe moving into law. So being open-minded in terms of being willing to learn a new skill set and add on. So I thought that was very vital.
Very good. Thank you for bringing that up. And while we're on that note, I just want to share a very quick story. You might have heard the story before, and you accused me of boiling cabbages more than once, but this is it. So for those students who've not heard the story before, I was once met with a young lady who was a master's in environmental sciences, and the situation was desperate. She was referred from counseling because she was in dire need of money. And it so happened that I spoke to CNA the day before, and I called them up and I said, look, there is a young lady here with some serious skills, but the degree is environmental sciences. And they asked for her CV and they asked to interview her. Within 3 months, she was being, what is the word I'm looking for? She was being groomed for junior management, despite the fact that her degree was in environmental management, which had nothing to do with the nature of their core business. Still, they saw the skill, they saw the drive, they saw the tenacity, and they saw the ability, because we clever. We have these master's degrees, we have the PhDs, we are clever. Nobody can take that away from us. The question is, how willing are we to actually go another route if it's offered to us? And Pebo, thank you so much for bringing that up. It's the willingness to be open to receive all of these new things. That's actually incredible. Anyone else that's here? I heard there's one more hand.
Hi.
Hi.
It was me. I think I agree, with the previous speakers when they spoke about, communication and being open-minded. But also, I think that will go actually very well, because now we're in the age of the fourth industrial revolution. And so in every job, in some way, you need to know how to actually, implement, like those machine learnings, the different types of statistical models such as R. And I do find that if you do have those hard skills, such as coding, you are able and very easily to move from one industry to another. That coupled with, your expertise, you do find yourself in tech, maybe in consulting, and you can speak to a wider audience. So that is actually something that I'm very interested in, just incorporating those hard skills together with my degree, and probably that will diversify, my career prospects.
Okay, great. We'll talk a little bit more about that. I would be very curious to know how exactly you choose to integrate the two. And while I do respect that technology, it has a need of its own. Basically, it's going to create needs among others because it is the way that it is. But I would have to ask, how do you relate your degree to technology, and what contribution in that field would you be making? So if you are you developing a new app for a personal workout? How does it actually relate to your degree? Did you think about it?
So with my degree, I'm doing my studies is more related to HIV-associated neurocognitive disorders. And, when you're studying that, sometimes, when you use animal models or maybe try to, go to more clinical settings, you do find that there are a lot of barriers that you cannot overcome. And so I think that when I incorporate a new machine learning, I can go to the deepest part of the brain, study it and build a model. And then when I use either animal models or maybe just have human beings in my study, I know that I have a certain model that can look at the molecular areas of the brain, such as the synapses, and the synaptic plasticity. And then with that, I can actually use my animal models to actually relate that to behavior and the cognitive changes. And so that's where I have actually been looking at incorporating machine learning on that aspect.
Wonderful, excellent. Wow, I see you've thought about it. Prof, while we're here, and given that you are you're the person or the point of contact, what is the probability of offering a coding course to your class, just the way that we're doing it right now?
Hi, massive. We should, absolutely. In fact, I know of at least one happening in October, but this is particularly odd. and within a particular sphere of research. So for me, it would be microbiome data analysis, and we need to learn how to code to work with such massive databases, and the world is moving towards that direction right now. It's important. We should, as a university, and I hope that it does happen more broadly. It probably does, and I'm unaware of it, but for me, I know of at least one program that is happening right now for that.
Thank you very much, Prof. And if I could, right here on this platform, ask that if you could ask around, and I know that you've got a lot more pull than an external like me right now. I'm not sure if it would be the computer programming division. So that would be, you know, one of the academics from SEAS who actually does pure coding or whatever. But I mean, if we can open up some kind of communication channel, it is vital. A lot of industries are now offering it, you know, as part of their training, provided you become a member. I know that I'm a member of the Wall Foundation, and they are an NGO for STEM sciences, and coding is one of the benefits of volunteering. So after 6 months of serving, you get a gift of coding. So yeah, it's
wonderful.
great.
And you know, there are also online free courses that you can attend to learn the basics of coding, and in particular languages. If I can find the ones that I've been exposed to, I'll put it into the chat box right now, but your point is completely valid. Perhaps we could also discuss with Prof. Aldous and Hift about having a particular focus in our Wednesday session, specifically because, you know, that's our technical aspects of technical focus of the Postgraduate Academy. And if coding is something that us as a community needs to be more aware of, we should absolutely incorporate that into our Wednesday sessions. So thanks for that.
Thank you.
Suggestion.
Thank you so very much for that. Thank you. I note that it's now like almost 10 past 4, which means that we have 20 minutes to plow through this, and I'm having so much fun. I wish it wouldn't end. But to answer the question now, what attributes does industry want? And this comes from a global perspective. They've actually suggested that these are the things that they find. The ideal and successful workers being in possession of. So the behavioral personal attributes that they're looking for are those who actually come up to them and request the high profile assignments. So if you're looking at some kind of research or something that's a no-go area, can you go up to management and say, look, I really would like to do it? So what they're wanting ideally are those people who are taking the initiative to take on projects that may be outside of their scope in traditional boxes. Remember, ever since, and you know, COVID's done a lot to reframe the whole working arena. And modern human resources is also changing their stance now. So where you get these boxed key performance areas, people are now starting with job rotations, and in order to flourish so that they don't go stale and their minds remain active. So it's been asked that you network yourself. I mean, if you network yourself with influential leaders, both inside and outside the organization, you become noted, and your work becomes noticed as well. Communicating openly and directly, and this was something that was mentioned by one of our participants, people who seek visibility for their accomplishments, not ones who say, it's fine, I like to fly under the radar, but you actually say, I have done something, and you're proud to own it. A lot of the time we shy away from the glamour and the glory. Step up, take ownership of what you've done, and make sure that you actually claim your visibility. Let your supervisors know of your skills and your willingness to contribute. So basically, again, in taking ownership of a new project, somebody says, look, I have the skills and I'm willing to do it. So please do give me the project, because it really, really does build your portfolio. And as one of our participants says, it shows that you're brave enough to take something on. Seeking opportunities on an ongoing basis. So you're scanning your environment, you're actually checking out what's happening. Where can you put yourself into? Where can you contribute? And in the area of creating a model, which would be an animated model of the molecular structure of the internal components of the brain. That's brilliant. It probably hasn't been done in South Africa yet. So wonderful. you're going into an area that hasn't been researched before, especially in the field of artificial intelligence. So the question is to keep on seeking out these opportunities that are new and fresh, and how you can bring your, remember, don't leave your personality out from your job. You're bringing it with you. So if you have a curious question, put it out to the table. Can I make a difference in these areas? Learning about the political landscape, both of the country and the unreported rules. Remember that every organization has its culture. If you're learning the unsung rules or the muted rules of the organization, there may be certain things they don't do, they do, and learning those silent rules actually holds you in good stead, not overstepping your boundary in any way. So actually just keeping your ear to the ground and following all of those secret little happenings in the organization. And of course, they're loving people who are not afraid to ask for help. So gone are those, those personality types that I know it all, I don't need help from anyone. Now the whole system has changed. And I think the past 3 years sees such a reliance on shared knowledge. There's a huge emphasis on shared knowledge. If you have something, let's bring it to the table. Let's incorporate. So guys, remember that shared knowledge is a big thing now. Yes, you have your ideas, but don't forget that when you ask, how can we network together? Even when you go for an interview, so how can I bring my ideas and marry them to your goals? And so we're looking at a synergy rather than one who stands higher than everybody else. So it's a very fluid relationship that we're looking at in industries these days. Excuse me. While we're on that subject now, in terms of career fields and career clusters, now the Minnesota University had actually done this, and I think they did the world a solid in terms of career clusters. What they suggested was that there's 6 career fields overall. So wherever you are in the world and whatever you're doing, you are part of one of the 6 career fields that you find yourself in. So it's been listed. You got the first one, which is more the commerce subjects. Then you got agriculture. Then you've got your human sciences and services, your industrial engineering and technology fields. You've got your health services, where you're at right now, and then your arts and communication. So you could be anywhere there within those 6 career clusters. But further to that, there's 16 career clusters within these career fields. Now, what that means and what they went on further to say, and this was compliments of the Minnesota State University, who did the research on this and gave it to the world, that within the 16 career clusters, you also have 81 possible career paths. What that means is that there's possibly 81 combinations or areas in which you could apply yourself. Now, when we think about it, when we seem boxed in that this is what I want to do, this is what I want to do, we actually limit ourselves and prevent ourselves from thinking where the other areas in which we could belong. Now, you being here, which is the 5th area, health, science, technology, your knowledge, your content, all is linked to health sciences in your country. And remember that it is governmental. Health is controlled by the Department of Health, so it is a governmental institute. But the question I ask you today is, how much of the skills that you have can actually lend you into a different field of human services, or teaching, or agriculture? Could you lend your skills to agriculture? Could we lend our skills to being a consultant within the financial institute? So the question is now, how much of our degree can we apply differently into the other sectors as well, which makes us then diverse in terms of the use of the degree. Now, this is the current state in South Africa. Coming from the expat website, I've actually cited there, you can have a look at it if you want to. Now, although it says 2021, there is a little bit of a lag in it due to COVID, and so everything kind of went on a standstill for a little. So these figures are relatively true to date. And this is your sector, which is the science professions as well as the healthcare specialists. So you would form a part of this 9% of the population. And as you can see, it is like the difficult occupations in South Africa to fill right now. So if we look at it more closely, and we're looking at the health and welfare sector, And their sector skills plan that's been created, and I'm not sure how many of you are aware of the sector skills plan. We have 21 SETAs in South Africa, and each SETA deals with a particular economic sector in the country. Now, the 21 SETAs oversee those sectors, and what happens is industry, so the respective industries, whether it's an engineering concern or whether it's a health concern, feed information to the government, to the Department of Education, and they create the reports for the respective SETAs. So they'll say, look, the year's gone such, we've had these positions that haven't been filled for the past 4 years, and we've been looking and interviewing, but we can't fill those positions. It then becomes noted as either scarce or critical skill in the country. So according to the 2022 and 2023 report, this is what the report says. And given where you're currently at right now, my question to you is, how can you use your degree to fill or to talk directly to the skills that are needed in the country? Because if we're talking to the skills that are needed, we're not talking about unemployment. And that is the only way that I can put it quite plainly. If we're addressing the needs of the country, we are minimizing the chance of unemployment. So managers and professionals, please note this is generic. What they've said is the SETAs, which is WH and PSETA, have reported that managers, irrespective of your discipline, in other words, people in executive positions, it requires 282 vacancies. In other words, you, my colleagues, need to groom to become managers to fill this position. How can you now fill this gap and improve your skill set? Can you become a part of a junior management program? I know that UKZN has got one if you want to become an academic, where they groom you into becoming a young leader. How can you build those skills to talk to the shortage of 282 vacancies, or in total 328 in the private and the public sector, total vacancies for managers in any respective field? And that's a lot of vacancies. 328 is a big gap. We look at professionals, and when we say professionals, we're talking about those who are registered with a professional skill, whether it's accounting aside. Now, each of you will register with a specific council when you're done, some regulatory body, some association that makes you a professional in your field. Look at the total number of vacancies this has in your respective SETAs. You form a part of the health and welfare SETA. There's 3,000 vacancies over, and that's a lot. Technicians and associate professionals, again, 2,775 vacancies in that. So, colleagues, what I'm inviting you to do is to look at your respective SETAs, look at all of the alternative things that we've been looking at, and see how we can talk to the gaps that are in there, what skills are needed. And it shouldn't be, it might just be an occupational certificate that you need to gap into the segment and talk to those critical and skills that are there right now. Another one, and again, I didn't know who I was addressing today because I thought we'd have some nurses here. But if you look at the number of, within the medical field, we've got enrolled nurses. The qualification was terminated because the pool became smaller. So in other words, this vacancy here of 2,300 is still available. And this is enrolled nurses. That's a big gap as well. Your pharmacist, 83 vacancies. Registered nurses in community health, 200. They resigned due to COVID, some of them, and the other one was scarcity with people with required qualifications. So in other words, that too is a gap. If you can take this message out to community as well, that yes, there's still a big need for nurses. Paramedics, 112. So the reason why I'm showing this is for you to expand your mind and say, look, I have these skill sets. How can I actually go into those arenas with minimal work so that I can actually secure something going forward? Again, this speaks to occupational therapists and first aid attendants. First aid attendants is usually an add-on or a top-up if you're joining an industry that, although it usually goes with an occupational certificate of, that's an NQF level 5, I think. Still, there's a gap of 30 people required. Colleagues, training and development. I can't emphasize this enough. Training and development professional. This is something that's going to be ongoing in our country simply because we are a developing country. if you could consider getting a CETA qualification in training and development within your field. So whether it's health and safety, whether it's basic life-saving skills, whether it is some kind of skill, even pharmaceutical assistance, if you could look at some of the courses that are available, how can you become a training and development professional within your sector? Because there'll always be scope for it being a part of a developing country. And excuse me, again, you are welcome to go through these slides. We'll send them out. I'm sure Prof. Lenine will post them out to you. But these slides were meant to show you the amount of gaps that there are in the industry right now. I've now asked if you've considered a teaching or profession in academia, just to bring 3 to your attention. University lecturer, 226 vacancies. A TVET educator, 76. So if you're looking at STEM science and STEM specializations, which some of you may have your undergraduate in, how can you fill those gaps? How can you talk to those areas? Project management, again, not specifically, 51 people are needed in this field. Excuse me. These slides I will not talk about right now because it is from the Department of Home Affairs. Basically, it's there so that we can invite foreign talent to come in and fill the gaps that our population could fill right now. But I've included it there so that you can have a look at it and think about it. And some of them actually talk to your qualifications as well. So health professions as well as earth sciences, you might have an undergraduate degree that may talk here. Science technology, they requiring doctorates from abroad. The invitation has been sent out already. The most jobs internationally that are required, again, these are the 10 most in demand. And if it speaks to your qualification right now, how can you go about qualifying as these titles? So a health scientist. I did hear one of our colleagues saying that they want to go into advocacy. And could you now volunteer yourself in the UN and become a spokesperson? How could you further yourself within these fields that are internationally recognized? The global health educator. I know that there's many organizations, Doctors Without Borders are looking for people with not necessarily a medical degree. Like I mentioned, the WOW Foundation, they're looking for educators in STEM. Similarly, there are so many organizations where you could give an hour, 2 hours of your time to just develop your skill set so that you could actually become one of these professions that are sought after. Now, in terms of achieving a desired goal, and I'm so sorry, it's now 25 minutes past 4. The question, and no matter where you are in terms of your career, you'll only stop asking this question when you are 66 years old. I'm not going to allow you to stop asking the questions before that. 65 is your retirement, yes, and I will allow you to ask yourself the question for 1 year more. Self-exploration, work research, experiential education, decision-making, job searching skills, and career management all must form a part of your life every year because you are evolving. So the more we introspect and the more we examine the skills we have, and if you really think about it, you might have forgotten what you did in the first 3 years of your undergraduate degree. Those are your skills. You may have forgotten about them, but they still exist. So I would encourage that you do a skills audit to see where you are at and to see where your passions are and where you can invest them further. There's 1 to 8 steps here, which just help you siphon out your thoughts. In other words, arrange them nicely. And again, I don't want to sound like a scratched record here, but your goals are important and you're never going to be without them. So if we can set those little micro goals and say, well, fine, today I'm going to think about what Karuna said, and I'm going to research industry and look at where I can have a side hustle even. So even if you have a part-time job and say, look, I think I'll use those skills to actually teach something online. You basically applying the skills that you have in a different way. So my invitation today, and if you've learned nothing else from me, is that how can we apply them in different ways? And you'll find there's many, many ways in which you can apply yourself. So I've given you a few tips here. in terms of your career mapping, identify something that you want to do. You identifying that ideal job, if your goal plan is, management in 5 years, or both within your organization or outside your organization, identify the organization structure. It is common. I mean, I've done it a few times at UKZN where we have requested an organogram, and many organizations will be inclined to sharing this. They may even have it on the website. Look at the structure which they're following. It could be the traditional fashion of, lower rungs of entry-level positions and then higher up to executives, or it could be a more flat plane where you've got everybody on the same level and maybe just one manager that oversees 20 people, where everybody's authority is the same and everybody has the veto to decide what's good in their own projects, etc. So look at their organization structure, and then from there you'll be able to establish, okay, fine, I need to go to the 2 or 3 levels to get to where I'm going. Identify where you want to be. Don't dismiss the alternatives. In other words, you could be in 2 places on the same level. Define the job requirements for that post. You have to take it apart. In other words, speak to your colleagues, speak to the people who are in that field. If they're not in that field, go to the company website and look and request that information. Prof. Lenine is going to side with me on this one. There was a post that I saw that I was very interested in from my perspective as a behavioral specialist. It was not available, but Prof. Lenine hooked me up with the HR specialist and she gave me the portfolio. So I know I need to build myself up towards that. The job is not offered, but it was something for me to think about in terms of what skills do I need if I want to apply at Caprisa for a job behavioral specialist. So I know that she's smiling right now because that is true. I did request the job specifications from her. You can do the very same. Nobody's going to fault you for it. Develop a roadmap of the different positions. So in other words, you're going to ask yourself, what skills were needed for that person to have achieved that? Even if you start this conversation with your colleagues, just a simple question. What did you do to get there? What courses did you do? And what training did you receive to achieve what you have? And they will tell you what it is that they've done. So you filling in the gaps, it may not be the same in 5 years. So you have to be, your radar has to be on. You have to be scanning and look at what will complement that job even more. Identify the training and developmental needs, both for yourself and for that job in particular. You got to ask human resources. You can do the online course. Udemy has a lot of courses to introduce you basically to something. There might not be that much respect for it because Udemy does offer courses for free. And because it doesn't have an NQF level standing, it might just be problematic for those who are reading it. So be careful about where you're getting your courses from. NQF level, meaning the level of complexity and the level of difficulty. NQF level 6 is quite advanced. It's the same level of your undergraduate degree or diploma. So when you do these courses, make sure that there's some kind of NQF level grading attached to it. And networking. Colleagues, I can't talk to you about networking enough. Network yourself within the group, expand your circle, join voluntary organizations where you get to communicate more. And really, it's about putting yourself out there. We're expanding our skills, but we're also taking the skills that we have with us. And you know a lot because you've done a lot. So those are the steps that you would follow in order to develop your career path. Once it's identified and how you're going to fill the gaps in order to address that. So what I've got for you is a traditional, you could go the traditional route of being a junior and right up to the vice president, or you could go in a lattice pathway, which is vertically. You could look at, and very quickly, I just want to take you through this. If you look at community health worker, when we talk about a vertical articulation, we're talking about becoming something that's not in a straight fashion or linear fashion, but becoming something else that's associated. So what we've done here, somebody from patient care has gone into administrative or clerical. So it's sort of a vertical articulation into a different field, but on the same level. The question I ask you is, what can you do with yours right now? How can you vertically articulate into something that requires your skill set, but may not necessarily be in that little box or something that you might have created before? The important question, if you hear nothing else from me, just think about the image in your mind. what skills do I currently have, and what skills are needed. The area in between, as education known as the zone of proximal learning, what is the distance between the two? How much of learning do I need to achieve what my goal? What skills are needed? So please just think about nothing else. Think about this very lovely drawing when you're looking at a job. What skills do I need to fill this gap? And of course, your goals. We will go on about the goals. And I know this is a bore. Colleagues, what you need to remember about goals is putting in something like I want to be a director is very wishy-washy and pie in the sky. I want to be a director within the next 5 years, and these are the steps that I'm going to take. So in other words, you have to be very specific and attach concrete and realistic timelines to it. It then becomes achievable. Okay, I'm going to skip a few because we are running out of time now, and I know we don't like to overstay. Prof, do we have time for this question?
Yeah, well, I have time. If people need to leave, by all means, go ahead. Finish for me, finish for me.
Okay, colleagues, I ask you, please, if you could, what skills do you think you have right now that could be transferred to multiple organizations or roles? I invite you to audit your existing skill set and see if you could apply it into other areas. Make a mental note of it. But on your right-hand side, I would like for you to pay particular attention to the role, to competencies that you currently have, your personality type, and your learning and development opportunities. In other words, is there potential for me to want to learn what's going on here? Just give me a minute and think about it. And with that, it will bring us to our concluding slide, which is a question for you. Now, you arrive in a foreign country. While your documents and your residency are being processed, you find yourself bored and looking for something to do, which will keep you occupied and pay the rent as well. We don't mind the rent money, we don't. You can, and you only have two possibilities, right? Tell us what choices you make from the choices you have, because you consult a local newspaper, and the following options are available. You can be a bartender. It requires English, good references, trustworthiness, and sober habits. You could be a waiter. It requires that you speak English, a customer orientation, a people's person, patience, and requires for one to be on their feet a lot. So, you know, if you have a problem with your lower back, maybe that's not a good job. A tutor. They require a master's degree in science and related subjects for fluency in English and familiarity with education pedagogy. The online teacher is required in China. They want you to be fluent in English and experienced working with young learners. You could be a salesperson, a magician, and a medical sales rep. Now, please bear in mind that these are the options that are available to you in a foreign country. The question is, what skills do you have and how many you only have two choices, and you're going to tell us why. Debo has raised a hand, so fire away.
I'll be quick, and I don't know, it might be slightly cheating, but I would do 4 and 7. 7 because I have experience being a medical sales rep. 4 because I am an online English teacher, so it would just be like walking on just off a duck of a water. What's water off a duck's back? So I'll take 4 and 7.
You know what, Debo? I know that you won't starve in a foreign country, so good on you.
Yeah,
awesome. Anyone else? Prof?
I've been everything on this list except the magician, so I guess I don't count.
Have you been everything except a magician? Great stuff.
You know, I think that's a very important point, especially when you're young or when you're starting out, that exposure to as many fields as possible is so important. I did not know as a master's student, you know, where I would end up in 10 years' time. And I ended up saying yes to many different experiences. So I could probably feed myself in this podcast.
You can. You won't starve either. You know, I thank you for saying that, Prof, and I really do, because this is what it's about. It really is about being on your feet. And you know, some of you may frown on a side hustle, but the reason why we encourage, you know, industrial psychology is heavy on positive psychology and flourishing. And what they encourage people to do when we lose momentum inside our own jobs. So we've got a job for 10 years and we love the job. We don't want to lose the stability of that, you know, the retirement fund and all the good things, but you're running out of momentum. Industrial psychology always says, you know what, look for something, look for a side hustle, or look for something that energizes you on the outside, that you can bring that energy into work. So side hustles are great. Yes, please, Prof, please do tell us.
Can I just say, I'm sorry about the time, but
Yeah.
I'm going to have to say this. I just came back from a meeting in which I was surrounded by many, many young scientists. You know, they're moving on to the next phase of their careers. And what I found amazingly was that most of them had entrepreneurial experiences that was part of their academic career. I mean, I don't know whether it's available here. If it is, by all means, everybody just do that. It was just amazing within medicine, and these are all medical researchers, that they had realized the importance of expanding their professional exposure to other sectors as well. It feeds into this concept of resilience and growth and being able to use what you're learning in different spheres. Yes,
wonderful.
I'm for it.
Wow. That is awesome. That is really, really great. That is wonderful. I see that the chat is quite busy.
It's filled with thanks for the amazing session that you've got, that you've had. Sue's posted quite a nice. Would you like to comment on that, Sue?
Absolutely. So I am going to be doing some magic in a moment. So Karuna, I just would like to appreciate you and just want to thank, you know, on behalf of everybody, that you've brought this whole idea to, you know, what's beyond the postgrad and a new view, a new lens as to what is available for us. So I know that you might still want to say something, so I'll be very brief. So my takeaways that I'm taking is be creative, be an advocate, learn something new, you know, create that environment so you can flourish and grow, set micro goals, be visible. That's the importance of side hustles, and do that skills audit. Absolutely. Wow. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for summarizing that so nicely. Colleagues, I'm going to leave you with that thought. I do want you to investigate how you could possibly lend yourself to the CETAs and hopefully with the learnerships, and seeing whether you can invest yourself in teaching and training and development as well, because our country needs it. So I am an advocate for the whole training and development sector. And if I could encourage you to look at it and review it, I'd be so happy. They need assessors, they need moderators. These things pay money if you're looking at a side hustle. So do consider. With that said, I'm going to conclude. And if you have any questions, please direct them to Prof or Sue, and they will forward it to me if you don't have my email address. And with that said, I'm thankful. Thank you very much.
Oh, Karuna, thank you so much for your time and your effort. And we've had so many thanks within the chat box. This session is recorded and we'll put it up onto the YouTube website, UKZN YouTube site, so that whoever has not seen all this amazing information, please by all means share, let everybody know that, you know, they the next step postgrad is summarized nicely by Karuna over here. And our sessions on career development do continue within the next couple of weeks. If I'm not mistaken, we have another session on your career portfolio next week. Sue just mentioned something very important within the chat box, the importance of marketing yourself, setting up your portfolio. That is going to be very important for your next steps once you graduate. So please join us for our next session focusing on career development. I'm sorry we were a little late today, but this was amazing. If you need to see it again to reinforce these messages, it will be up on the YouTube website. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for participating. Thanks, Sue. Thanks, Karuna. Thank you all for being here. Take care. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, Colin.